Left jab, uppercut, leave you laid out on the floor. Try to duck and roll, hit and miss, now you counting stars. Should've practiced more, should've hit the mask, get out there more. Claim that you're the best, you gotta show me son. Actions over words, baby boy, is you real or what? Talking way too much, world come. Back sports, talking way too much, world come. Back sports, talking way too much, world come. Back sports,
Once again, you tune in to World Combat Sports. Man, happy Friday to each and every one of you. It's been a busy day. I know you're like, dang. You was thinking I would be on early. I thought so too, but had things to take care of. Had some, business talks with some people about some upcoming fight cards and everything. But we're gonna get down to it. Just give me a minute. Okay. We good. So if you haven't heard, it's always one of these deals where you don't want to be the bearer of bad news because it just seems like people get all angry and upset, you know what I'm saying? And flabbergasted when a fighter messes up and is arrested and they claim, why you reporting on a black fighter or whatever. But another Charlo has somehow, some way whisked themselves into the confinement chambers. He was arrested and served with the warrant initially. On that warrant, he was arrested. So let me take you to the article that's out via boxingscene. But first, let's do this. First, let me go over Jermall Charlo, alias the Hitman. 32 victories, 0 defeats, 22 by way of knockout. His residence, Houston, Texas. Birthplace, Lafayette, Louisiana. His last fight was against Juan Montiel, for which he went a unanimous decision and won a 12-round fight against Montiel. Now, per the source of boxingscene.com, says that the unbeaten 2-division and reigning WBC middleweight titlist was arrested Friday afternoon in Fort Bend County, Texas, following a warrant executed for his arrest. Charlo was charged with assault causing bodily injury of a family member after having previous conviction for family violence. Let me repeat. After having a previous conviction for family violence, a third-degree county, which carries a sentence of 2 to 10 years in prison if found guilty. Charlo remains in custody as this goes to publish, with the unsecured bond sent at $10,000 for his release. Fort Bend County jail records indicate that Charlo, 32 victories, 22 knockouts, was arrested at 1:29 p.m. on Friday, though it remains unclear if the executed warrant was a prior investigation or recent incident. Charlo was previously under investigation for alleged aggravated assault incident in May 2020, also in his hometown of Richmond, Texas. Um, T, an unnamed claimant, alleged to have been assaulted to the point of suffering bodily harm, at which point an official report was filed classifying the alleged incident as aggravated assault causing serious bodily injury. The boxer was never arrested, nor were charges filed at the time. It remains unclear if the recent arrest warrant is a result of a development in the case or if his arrest on Friday was for a freshly reported incident. A call to a Fort Bend County Sheriff's spokesperson seeking comment and clarification was not immediately returned. Jermall and twin brother Jermall Charlo both fight for premier boxing champions whose company policy disallows comment on open police investigations and legal matters. So, this is always unfortunate when it comes down to it. But in the sport of boxing, once again, they're in a sport where they're taking damage to the head and the body. So with that punishment over time, some individuals are. I look at it like this. Some individuals, some competitors in the sport have been associated with domestic violence issues. I kind of relate it to the sport that they're competing in and the time frame for which they've been competing and the calculation of the punishment they've taken. Like, we all know the physical anatomy is different for everybody. So you're going to always have domestic violence issue with these boxers. Now, what I would take from this is I don't have all the details to him being, served a warrant and confined. And I'm not sure if he's still in or not. $10,000 bond, he's probably out, of course. But when it comes down to a lot of fighters that I've known in the past to have domestic violence issues, it's going to continue to happen. Not so much that individual is a violent, so-called, reckless individual that's all about going out here harming that of a bystander or those individuals that's not considered to be on his level of skills when it comes to fighting. It can be anybody. Boxers, they can commit these acts, but it may be something that's more underlining or more deeper than that. Now, some people are just going to say straight off the rip, they need to learn how to act. They need more self-control. If you don't have self-control, you need to seek therapy. I totally understand that. Real talk. I totally understand you should seek therapy. Absolutely. If you got a problem when it comes down to it, regardless if you box or not, if you go out here with those registered hands and punch somebody and they die, they're not going to be talking the way I'm talking because you're still alive. Most of the CTE research that has been founded on these athletes who have committed suicide and athletes who have died over time is posthumous. So if you are a boxer, so to speak, and you've been punched in the head and you out here acting out and have these situations like Jermall Charlo being arrested for domestic violence, it's not going to play in your favor. You're still going to get arrested the same until they come up with medical equipment that can properly research an individual's brain and see if the reason for them acting or committing this crime is because of being punched in the head in their profession and so forth, and they can have more thorough research on it. The only reason I'm even mentioning this because There's been a lot of fighters out here that's been a part of domestic violence. And I think it's more so orientated on the sport they compete in. I do. Because I have to, I have to play in a factor. I have to insert a factor of PTSD. Post traumatic stress syndrome doesn't just relate to the military, it can relate to a lot of other areas where someone is in a moment where it was so dramatic, it affects them mentally over a long period of time. And that is real life. Even in boxing, you can have PTSD because in boxing, you have sparring and you have actual fights to compete in a win-lose situation that goes on your record. PTSD can be for over time or taking damage to the head and everything. You know what I'm saying? It can recycle and continue to remediate. And then certain areas that are damaged that are unknown to the human eye, and if that person was never checked medically, can continue to degrade themselves over time. In no way, shape, or form am I making excuses for Jermall Charlo at all. I don't, as a fighters, they're not two of my favorite, but we're just talking about Jermall Charlo. I'm looking at it from as much as I possibly can on the fairest respect, that on the way I assess combat sports, these individuals take punishment to the head. Internal to your cranial, you have a brain that is jolted time and time again in boxing. We're not able to basically calibrate a fighter's brain and compute the results in a way to say, hey, you have 13% brain damage from boxing 15 years in the sport, and this is why. We don't have that yet. Most of the time we've had it, like I said before, it's posthumous examinations on individuals who have died or even taken their lives. I hope the Charlo brothers are able to, Jermall Charlo, um, I don't know, man. It's difficult with these cats because they always turned up. They always wired. You know what I'm saying? They always wired. It's two of them in life. It's two of these guys in life. So they always wired. I'm just trying to give you an assessment from the way I look at it and what I read, enough to the point where I'm unqualified to give you a medical prognosis, right? But that doesn't mean I cannot base my opinion off a history of repeated offenses by boxers. Repeated. And those repeated offenses are domestic violence. Whether it's with a bystander, a family member, whether that family member can be immediate or a relative. It's going to continue to happen. They're in a contact sport. They're getting hit in the head, and they're going to continue to act out at certain times, whether they're provoked or unprovoked. It's going to continue to play out like this. So, like I said before, I don't know the details. I don't know if this is from an old case where information has risen, you know what I'm saying? And they thought it was enough to bring him in and charge him with that assault. Just like the article said. I don't know if this is based off the old 2020 incident or this is a new revelation. I don't know. This guy, Charlo, is getting time and time arrested, waste of time. Hasn't fought any top 5 boxers. Look, I'm not here to, for people to go ahead and go in on Charlos. I'm definitely not here to defend them either. Andrew Charles on deck, man. What's good with you? She, we here. What's good? He say behavior. Um, well, in English, I pretty much express what I thought about it. I'm not making any excuses for Charlo, but if you go a little bit deeper into the amount of domestic cases that we have in combat sports, you'll find out it happens more on a regular basis than what we are able to read about. You know what I'm saying? It happens all the time. Now, I'm not sitting up here condoning or giving an alternative as to why he's doing what he's doing, but it is real. It does happen. They're in the contact sport. You know what I'm saying? You have to encompass the entire aspect of the sport that they compete in and the damage that is inflicted over the period of time that causes degradation of all physical anatomy. Period. It does. It debilitates people over time. That's why you have fighters that's in combat sports, man. They get out, they retire, and they start having issues. And then some fighters have passed from dementia, you know, pugilistica, because they had damaged brain tissues and everything over a period of time. And of course, they was functioning. They was functioning normally. You know what I'm saying? And when they didn't have to go in training camp and their body made these, when you stop putting your body through the training rigors and it started to settle down, and then plus you're getting older, things change. Things definitely change. You know what I'm saying? You don't have that high level of adrenaline getting ready during a fight camp, all the nutritional things, the supplements that you're taking. When your body starts to settle down in retirement from anything, even in the military members who have PTSD, sometimes it's overly bad when they still active. And then a lot of times when you retire and your body starts to settle down and you're not, putting on the uniform and lacing up the boots no more, you start having more time to think. The PTSD, have flashes and episodes. And that's what I'm saying about boxers in general. They have episodes. You think you can be in a physical sport and get punched in the head all that time for years and years and years and not present episodes? You believe that your neurological system is ironclad and there's no way for it to start malfunctioning? That's pretty much what I'm talking about. All it takes is a little bit of reading to further understand. I'm not saying I know everything, like I said earlier. I'm just saying in boxing, you're going to continue to have domestic violent issues with fighters. Now, of course, from the outside looking in, we have individuals that's going to be judgmental because they just looking at it like, oh, so-and-so fucked up again. Yeah, it's easy for me to come in here and tell my audience that, yeah, Charlo fucked up again. And then you get up here and talk about he's been arrested multiple times without really attempting to scrutinize why. You know what I'm saying? What is he doing? And it's so many variables that goes around with brain damage. It can cause you to do drugs. It can cause you to be an alcoholic. It can cause you to do anything to basically provide relief for what's going on in your head. It happens all the time. It happens all the time. I'm just a person here on the platform that you may not respect enough to listen to what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? Listen attentively with a fair assessment. You might be overly biased because I'm just on YouTube and I'm a black media and you want to look at me as defending Charlo. You might not like Charlo. I'm not going to sit here and go back and forth with you on trying to prove to you what I'm saying. It's an opinion. It's an opinionated narrative. I don't know all the details, so I'm not going to go in on Charlo, Jermall Charlo, because he was arrested. Who did they say he was arrested with? Who is that person? I'm gonna be honest. I don't know sincerely who that person is. I don't know what occurred. I don't know the argument or what led up to the situation where assault happened, but guess what? You should do your homework too. If you're asking me why I'm saying this and that about Charles, why don't you go read and understand why I'm coming the way I'm coming? I'm taking this particular angle because it's easy for people to get on YouTube, social media, period, and vilify, denigrate someone for committing the act. But then later on down the line, if they get into a situation where they have to get medical assistance, they have to get themselves examined, they have to go to freaking therapy, they have to do a series of tests, and then it comes back, they've had brain damage for quite some time. Then people want to say, I'm telling you, it's not the first time. Mike Tyson and Robin Givens would have told you that. And even before that, bro, we had boxers back in the day that was responsible for domestic violence. You want to know? What about Floyd Patterson? Floyd Patterson, it's a nice story out there about Floyd Patterson, how he used to put hands on this girl. Boxers are getting punched in the freaking face and head. Y'all hold on for a second. Boxing Talk 100 on deck. What's good with you? It's not fair they do not give boxers the support poor that they supposed to. We get hit in our heads ever since a young kid. And I didn't even bring up, the boxers that start off as a youth. That's why they have, you know, they're pretty much assessing full contact youth football. You know what I'm saying? You're talking about young youth boxers with headgear on, starting off boxing, taking all this punishment. Some of these kids are getting knocked out over and over and over again because they're not strong enough at that time to compute the defensive, skills that they supposed to have. So they have to remediate it off offense from someone else. They have to go through the remediation, then they go to sparring to try to utilize it. To try to remediate what they've been taught in full time, in real time. And with that real time, sometimes they get knocked out. Kids goes over and over again, man. You know what I'm saying? Repeat it. Just think of boxing as a 7-year-old. Let's say 7 years old. And you've been boxing since you was 7 years old, all the way up to you're about 38, 40 years old. That's a long damn time, man. They get punched in the motherfucking body and head. And then you feel that you're still able to function as a normal human being, but yet internally, it's other shit that's going on with you. So when you meet these tough times and you act out, people just look at you as, oh man, he's fucking up. He's violent. He's always, they're always high energy. They always belligerent. Fighters are belligerent, man. Fighters are belligerent, for real. But hold on for a quick second. Hold up for a second. I'm trying to find this article that I read back in the day. I might have been off with the name, but I'm just trying to, pull it up. I might have the wrong fighter. I'm trying to find out if I have the right fighter or not, because I want to be absolutely correct on what I'm putting out there. Because when it comes to domestic violence, if it's public record, people's not going to say anything, but you show the receipt. So hold up for a second. I'm trying to utilize my recall memory on if I have the right fighter. Hold on. You know what? I'm not going to take too much time today to do it. Um, it's either Sugar Ray Robinson or Floyd Patterson. It just popped in my head. I remember reading that quite some time ago, and I thought I'd put the article in my favorites. I'm thinking it was Sugar Ray Robinson. Okay. I do. Yeah, I'm almost certain that it was Sugar Ray Robinson, not Floyd Patterson. I think it was Sugar Ray Robinson. Let me try one more space right quick, and then I'm gonna move on. Let me see. I would definitely have to come back to this. I can't sit up here and try to locate this right now, but I'll definitely try to revisit it at a later date. But I'm pretty sure it's Sugar Ray Robinson that had the domestic situation, because his son went in depth about it, if I'm correct, about how he used to see his mom beaten, and how he used to put hands on his mom. One time he just stepped in there and he said, enough is enough. He said, don't hit my mom no more. You know what I'm saying? And this was back in the day. This was boxing. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's what I'm trying to get at. I'm going off what I read in the past, certain fighters that I've seen have domestic issues play out. Floyd Mayweather he was confined for having a situation with his baby mother. So if you ask me what I'm talking about, that's pretty much where I'm going with this. I read articles on the history of boxing all the time, as much as I can, but that doesn't mean I'm going to have the recall memory on something I'm just, popping up for topic of discussion today with the Charlos. Shout out to my man Showtime, Shaw News on deck, man. I see you. And you know what? I'll drop the link in there for you if you want to, come in here and converse about this topic if you feel the need to. My brother, I know you did 2 lives today. Man, I was out and about. I could not do anything about that. D-Ray Promotions, salute. WCS Cooking Casuals and Temporary Boxing Talk. I appreciate you, D-Ray Promotions, for stopping through for show and supporting the channel. But let's get back to Charlo, though. I stand by what I mean. Like it's real goofy. You can get on here and you can say whatever you want about anybody that's in a situation like this. You know what I'm saying? But these boxers go through what they go through. Now, I'm not saying every boxer out there to get in trouble. You're saying, oh, well, they had some form of pugilistica. They just need to get examined. Yeah, that'd be easy. And then if it came down to it, boxing, instead of shutting down, they'll probably continue the sport. Because think of it this way. boxers have passed away in the ring. All right. And those boxers are mourned, they are remembered, and then their name truly fade away throughout the masses, of people just talking about them on a regular basis. But that doesn't mean people people didn't forget about them. But I'm just saying, it's guys that pass away in the boxing ring all the freaking time. Why? Why did Dada Chef pass away? Why did Patrick Day pass away? Why did Don Kim pass away? And all these other fighters that lost their lives. Why did they pass away? Because they had something going on with their brain. Obviously, if you're using your left and right hand and your target within the rule settings is from the belt line all the way up to the head on the front side of your body. All right. Is able to be hit. Over time, if the primary source, the target location to damage your opponent in most cases is the head, it's going to take mad punishment. Some fighters are known to have a better chin than others. No, it's not a chin. That's a myth. It's not a chin. Okay. It's encompassing the neurological system that makes up your body, and everybody's is the same. Look, the shit that Anthony Joshua and Amir Khan has can never be changed because they fall beneath the understanding of saying that everybody's wired different. That is exactly what it means. Everybody's wired different. You have to go in the ring. If you get knocked out, you have to go in the ring and I mean, you have to go back to the gym and come up with a different game plan so you won't put yourself in a position to get knocked out again. Because now you understand that, yeah, certain fighters can knock out people easily, and certain fighters get knocked out no matter who it is. That's just how they wired. They have that switch, wherever it may be. If they get connected, neurologically, their consciousness shuts down briefly. You know what I'm saying? Not every knockout is the same, but we know Amir Khan has been knocked out several times. He cannot change that. Tito Trinidad used to get knocked down a lot, but with him, he's wired different. He seemed to come on more stronger when he get knocked down. Anthony Joshua's been down. Andre Ward's been down. Deontay Wilder's been down. It's so many fighters that's been on the canvas. Neurologically, your consciousness is lost for a brief period of time for most, and some they are unable to recover immediately within the rule setting of the boxing count, and they'll lose the fight because they was knocked out. Once they recover, they have to take some time off. They never truly recover because now their brain have been hit so hard, their head has been hit so hard that it caused them to lose conscious for an extended period of time. So now they have to treat themselves. You know what I'm saying? They have to allow their body to recover. They have to separate themselves from the gym. They have to just relax. Now, once again, I'm not a brain surgeon. None of that shit. But all I'm saying is there's been several boxers over the years that used to beat their spouses or get in fights with people and everything else. I use Mike Tyson and Robin Givens as a perfect example, man. Come on, bro. Some of this shit is not. Look, I have to put this in there too. Some of these motherfuckers just crazy. Some of them are just absolutely crazy, and they would damn near fight anybody that gives them any indication that they're up to no good, or they don't agree with that person, or that particular person don't like that person. They'll throw hands with them. They will execute and commit violence. Total rage. Some of these fighters can be set out just like that at the snap of a finger. I'm not saying that's what Charlo has going on, but I'm just giving you the perspective. I don't know all the details, and all I'm saying is we have a lot of domestic cases in boxing where damage is internally, you know what I'm saying, unrecognizable to the naked eye, and it takes machine and equipment to identify the areas that have been debilitated and degraded over time. And you just can't look at somebody's head and say, you know what, yeah, you took a lot of damage to your career. I see it. Let me turn over to the left. Yep, turn to the right. Okay. No, we're not doing that. God didn't bless us for that shit. Now it is it I can say there are exercises that may determine, you know, on the outside without doing scans on if someone has brain damage. There are tests. Okay? There are tests that can be ran. You know what I'm saying? Your brain functionality has, if you know how they put the fingers up in front of your face and they do all these tests, and then they do the light test on the wall, they do the reaction test. Man, they have so many tests to judge how quickly your brain is calibrating what's in front of you. How fast is it taking to respond? Is it responding correctly? That's all I'm saying, people. So Showtime said he about to get the Canelo fight right now. I've been hearing that, right? And hearing this news, it's been many people that many boxers who are in trouble and still get big fights. I really hope Charlo gets this Canelo fight, because we was just here in Bivol. I know we was here in Charlo, Bivol, now Charlo again. Like I tell you, the hocus pocus of boxing media is extraordinary, isn't it? It's just amazing. It becomes more well orchestrated each and every time we hear it. They was just kicking heavy in the boxing media that Canelo was going to do Bivol. He was going to face Bivol, and then turns around now, Jermall Charlo. We don't really know, but I get what you're saying. You know what I'm saying? I get what you're saying. Ben Azrael, what's good with you, Ben? He said, Shalom, WCS, WTF, mall thinking situation like this must be avoided. This man down today, tomorrow, forever. Shout out to Ben Israel in the building. King Mitch on deck, man. What's good with you? Come back, what up? What's good with you, Mitch? DBMH on deck. Salute WCS. Look, the only thing I'm getting at is not to give y'all like this unqualified assessment, like I'm trying to be a doctor from Nigeria, if that didn't go over your head. But I'm just taking it from my assessment. I'm absent. You know what I'm saying? I am not in possession of the fine details as to why he was locked up. Was it an old or new incident? And what exactly happened? I just want to know the fine details. If not to put clickbait up here and say, oh, he was doing this, he's that, he an asshole. The Charlos again, what they had coming to him because they was talking about this boxer. That's what I don't like that gossip shit, dog. I don't like the gossip shit. They give what they coming to him. It's karma. It's karma. Everybody can say that about anybody because we live in a judgmental world. I said it before. Good bows before evil every day. Good bows before evil. So do I expect the Charlo to come out and tell his side of the story? I don't think so. I truly don't think he's gonna be the one to come out and tell his side of the story. I don't know, outside of law enforcement, if they make it public or if the trial come up and shit like that, if it even go to trial, then we might hear it then. But we've seen plenty of people that are accused of charges, and it comes to the light, it floats around on the surface a little bit, And then it goes beneath once again, out of sight, out of mind. You know what I'm saying? What about Javante Davis' situation with the hit and run? We haven't really heard too much on that. I mean, I don't want to start bringing up all these damn fighters who get in trouble outside of the ring and be, slapping phones out of people's hand, punching people, doing all this other shit. That goes for any combat sport, not just boxing. It goes for mixed martial arts too. Conor McGregor walking around here throwing damn dollies at a truck, injuring fighters, punching an old man in the local pub because he didn't want to drink Conor McGregor's Proper 12 whiskey. These fighters, man, you can say it's just juvenile, behavior, but also they're fighters. So they're doing what naturally comes to them in a time in a time where they disagree with certain individuals. They resort to violence. It just becomes fucked up when it's their girl, when it's a female or whatever, or their kids. But if it's a guy against another guy outside, they say, "Oh man, so and so, they must have did something to piss them off." But when you putting hands on your spouse or your girlfriend, it becomes a little bit more important to talk about in the media, so to speak. They don't let that shit ride. And your girl might have put hands on you. She might be one that love putting hands on you. Pop, 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 pop. You ain't gonna do shit, nigga. Pop, 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 pop. Then the boxer get tired of it and hook her twice to the body. Pop, pop. Fold her ass up. And then you got Billy Joe Sanders all over again doing videos about how to set your wife straight, how to set your girl straight. I'm telling you, I can keep going on and connect the dots on this domestic violence shit. It's been out there forever. So let's just wait till the shit come out on what actually happened. And if he does have a problem, I hope he has enough within him to lower his pride and seek some type of damn assistance, wherever that may be, some medical attention, some type of outside care. When some people believe that subjecting yourself to outside care is basically portraying you as being a weaker individual. No, I mean, sometimes it's better to talk about it. For real. Sometimes it's better to talk about it than to keep it bottled up and see it play out on IG. Because we know the Charlo brothers have been on IG going back and forth with each other. You know what I'm saying? I mean, hey, it's some human emotions in there. It's some impulsiveness in there. But I'm just, I'm not on board with just going in here vilifying Jermall Charlo for being a part of domestic violence situation on numerous occasions, because I just want to know the whole story and see if he has something truly serious going on. Like, is he really fucked up in the head? Is he doing any type of recreational type of drinking or whatever? I'm saying an example. I'm not saying he is. But like I said before, with PTSD and a lot of the shit that goes on, right? To basically comfort that and have some type of temporary relief, drugs is brought into play. Alcohol is in play. Acting out, having episodes of violence on whoever's close to you happens. You know what I'm saying? So that's all I'm putting out there, bro. Ghost on deck. What's good, man? Say the twins' behavior is very, very worrying. I just hope it doesn't get worse than this. I am praying for the brother and hope he heals and hope he seeks the help he needs if there is something. Well said, bro. Well said. Blowjob Sanders check left hook his wife in front of their young lass, consoles her, picks her up off the ground just to throw her a body shot, whole ass. Yeah, you know what he did was what I'm trying to get at. People don't really take, strict how you put it, strict consideration as the examples I'm trying to make. I'm just trying to make examples that's within my qualification. I'm not a medical physician or doctor or anything like that, but I just know over time boxers have been accused and convicted of domestic crimes and violent crimes, dog. That's a lot. People don't really think about, like, that's where you have the temporaries of boxing. The temporaries really don't give a damn about the rigors of training that these fighters go through and take punishment to the head. You see fighters in sparring in certain cases getting fucked up with headgear on. And then you ask yourself, if the Olympics chose to remove the headgear, which one is right and which one is wrong? Should they be fighting with headgear in the amateurs, or should they take the headgear off? It's a reason why they removed the headgear. They said headgear inflicts more impact damage than without it. Now, don't ask me how did they come up with the findings, but that's where I'm at right now with it, bro. That's where I'm at with this shit. All I can do is speak on it. That's where I'm at with it. Like, why would Billy Joe Saunders even make a video about something that he never did? Like, I believe he made the video off his actions alone behind closed doors. Absolutely, bro. I believe he was in there touching his wife up. I believe that shit, bro. The one thing about boxing and domestic violence, man, it's like having a family in the military. They on the lower side of concern. You know what I'm saying? The Marine Corps motto is say if we would have wanted you to have a family, they I forgot how they said it, but they pretty much said if we wanted you to have a family, we would have did something. I forgot how it goes, but pretty much what they were saying is we wanted Marines to train and fight. We really didn't bring you on board so you can start a family and everything and then become distracted or whatever else that goes along with raising kids when you have to deploy. You know what I'm saying? So it is what it is, man. We'll find out coming up. You know what I'm saying? It's very, very concerning. Just like Ghost said, it's worrisome. So we have to just give it time, be patient, and see how shit plays out. That's the only place I can go with this shit, dog. Without saying the same thing over and over again. He said the thing that worries me the most is it seems to be progressively getting worse as time goes on. Yeah, true. That's when you start, using those words, multiple, several. You know what I'm saying? Now, and when it comes to domestic violence, one is bad enough. So they can say, oh, we don't know what actually happened. There might have been an argument. What did she do? What did he do? How did it all come to an accommodating moment where violence was enforced? You know what I'm saying? What happened? And then you keep on getting into this shit over and over again. And that's where it comes into, over time it started to get worse and worse. There are a lot of brain health studies. I would hope someone around him knows about the magnetic therapy trials going on, especially the ones UFC is offering fighters. Maybe worth it for them. With the UFC, I know they began providing that medical attention because it was a fighter who started speaking up about having a loss of memory. Excuse me, having a loss of memory and everything. And you're talking about a sport who trains elbow strikes, knees, bone on bone strikes, shins, anything you can match. They are able to target from the head to the feet. They're able to pretty much use that as a striking mechanism. Now, over time, I forgot his name, but that fighter came out and he was diagnosed with dementia and he was going through some bad times. You know what I'm saying? He was going through some bad times. He's not the only one. You know what I'm saying? You can't expect to get kicked in the head, even though they say mixed martial arts takes less damage than boxing. You can't imagine being kicked in the head with blunt force trauma, right? Getting knocked out and then recovering. But I see them fighters coming back to fight over MMA all the time after being knocked out. I do, Like I said before, Rose Namajunas knocked out Joanna Jędrzejczyk first round, came back for a rematch. She came around, she knocked out Weili Zhang with a head kick, came back for a rematch. Nate Diaz took extreme amount of punishment, barely understand what the man is talking about. You know what I'm saying? It's been fighted. Robbie Lawler took extensive amount of punishment. One of the most extreme, brutal fights you will ever see in combat was Robbie Lawler and Rory McDonald. It's one of the most brutal fights you will see between mixed martial arts and boxing. It was brutal. It took time off their life, and I believe Robbie Lawler will suffer some type of damage, just as Rory McDonald later on in their lives. You know what I'm saying? I won't be here for it, but when they get my age, who knows? When their bodies start to get older and slow down and shit, and those that damage get worse and worse and worse, and they start losing their memory. It can happen, bro. But good point there, Ghost. Their behavior is very in line with what we expect from someone with some level of CTE. I agree with you on that, but I always speak from an unqualified position. I don't want to speak and talk on something that I haven't even put any type of college credits in, nor do I have any type of training, on hands training with neurological, medical attention or any type of therapy or any type of surgery. Hell no, that ain't me. I'm just going off the same shit, the same information Ghost is providing. That's the only thing I can go off of, what I've read, researched, fighters who have been accused and charged with domestic violence and shit like that. The whole thing is reminding of Aaron Hernandez and other dark cases in the sport where head trauma was a factor. And bro, I'm praying it doesn't end like that, or is it anything close to that? We don't know until time and time it plays out, because he gets he comes back for an interview or whatever the case may be, and a fighter said, we just had a situation and then it didn't go well, and this, that, and the other. I mean, then we get mad. We're like, okay, bro, you actually showing like you don't care. Like you desensitized to this shit because you're a fighter. And with your desensitivity, you want to act like, oh, well, it ain't no shit to me. I'll tell you, motherfucker say something to me, it's going down this way. That's when people are gonna start to dislike you and damn excoriate you in the media. They're gonna put you on the cross. Then they ain't gonna want to hear shit I have to say, because they're gonna be like, man, I told you that motherfucker asshole, man, he just violent, dog. He don't give a fuck about nobody. You up here trying to talk about, no, I'm talking about the encompassing of the sport. I'm just trying to talk about the umbrella that's over the sport when it comes to CTE damage, amongst other full contact sports like football, shit like that. Andrew Charles on deck, man. I can't confirm anything, but I did hear a female was not involved. It was against a male family member, but really I don't know. Yeah, that's what I said earlier. They said the guy named unnamed, not, let me take that back. Unnamed claimant, T, unnamed. That's who it was. It wasn't a female. You're right. It wasn't a female. Yeah, and Casagano was having trouble for years. After her husband passed away, things went downhill for her, and UFC stepped in and offered a magnetic therapy, which helped her a lot. That's good. That's great. Because one thing about Casingano, her husband, pretty much committed suicide, didn't he? I still remember that day. Like, her husband committed suicide. I'm not sure what it was with him and what was going on with him, but I know, looking back at it, it's been talked about over and over again how boxing doesn't have outpatient care across the board for these fighters, right? And like I said before, once again, I have to reiterate what I heard from Cool Boy Steph. Cool Boy Steph was pretty much talking about what we was talking about. He was pretty much saying, he be going through some stuff and he really need, some help. And boxing, in a sense, really don't have an overall headquarters or a team, because it's not a sport that is unionized. It's nowhere that these fighters can just go to say, hey, I want to take time and get therapy, get treatment, and just get myself right, get my headspace right, just reset. I need somebody to help me do that. I can't do it on my own. You just can't tell a fighter, well, you go over here and do all those rounds and train and all that, and you can't. No, the brain is different. When you're settling down and you hearing somebody like Cool Boy Steph, who is a unified champion, say he be going through stuff and he needs, some assistance from boxing, that's when we fully understands that boxing is a system. It's just a system. I'm looking at it, if it was a sport, we would have much more structure and organization and resources set up for these fighters, so they won't just be going in here competing at such a high level of violence and having no which way, shape, or form to get treatment after it's all said and done. If the damage happens, they start, going through these situations. Where can I go immediately without me paying thousands upon thousands of dollars for therapy? Where can I go? That boxing is going to take care of me. That's yet to be known. But damn good input. Appreciate you. Maul can't and shouldn't be mentioned in the same sitting as Aaron Hernandez. That guy was a menace to society. That's true. But also, Mitch, you have to understand that Aaron Hernandez had damage. He had CTE damage, from my understanding, from playing the sport. He has CTE damage, real talk. Now, of course, that doesn't mean you have to go out here and commit, heinous crimes by committing damn drugs, drug criminality and shit like that. I totally get where you coming from, Mitch, on that side of the house. But he was a football player, and there's been football players like Julian Seon that, commit suicide, and some other fighters that go through shit from that contact. And then look at the ones who used to play back in the day, where you can actually leave your feet and commit helmet-to-helmet contact. Imagine how those fighters are doing that we don't hear about. An active study would be Mike Perry. It's a pattern. No help is provided, and it's just always going down here. Yeah, Mike Platinum Perry, man, he's a crazy dude, but I don't know, bro. Like, at least Dana's doing something, but it's not enough. Seriously, it's not enough for the amount of damage these. Look, the reason why I say it's not enough for combat sports, because, let's just say you're feeling some type of way after a tough fight. There's no way you can say, okay, I'm going to go home for a week and then I'm going to go to therapy. I just got to get away from the family just a little bit. And then they have a whole therapy, a facility that these fighters can go to and get treatment from qualified professionals. You just can't find that unless, you're going to pay out your pocket. And who's going to pay for that shit? Is boxing going to pay for it? What is boxing per se? Are you going to get with your promoter? No. That's not something across the board. We need a facility that's big enough and with enough personnel that's qualified to handle something as such. Until then, these fighters going to continue to have issues. They're going to continue to act out and have criminal situations attached to their name. And people are going to either understand it the way I do and the way you all was assessing in the chat, or you're going to get the people that just all about finger pointing and say, man, they fucked up. They shouldn't be allowed to walk this earth as a free man. They shouldn't be doing this and that and another. But these the same motherfuckers be encouraging them. Man, I can't wait to so and so knock out so and so. I can't wait till he knock out this person and that person. Yeah, you want to see a knockout, but when you see people acting out from being knocked out, you just act like, nah, they don't have no self-control, no discipline. They criminals. Hey, Keen, I'm not saying he would be Aaron, but Aaron had a long history which showed patterns. And while I get what you're saying about him being a menace, they found out he had serious CTE in the autopsy. And that's where I'm at with it too. I still remember that report coming out that he did have serious CTE. You know what I'm saying? And a menace, think about it. A menace in what he did and who he killed can all come from your thought process of your brain. It's just too deep to go into. I'm unqualified to go as deep as I want to go. Even though my imagination would take me there, I don't know the terminology. I don't know the method for which to explain to my audience what I'm trying to say in detail. And I don't want to get too complex about it because, once again, I'm unqualified to go to that depth. The only thing we can speak about is what's already on the surface, and that's CTE test. That's it. That's as far as I can go, big dog. Aaron's brain was like a brain of a person who was 110 years old. It was an end stage of CTE. That's pretty fucked up. Welcome back. You're right. It's just not enough. There's no aftercare, and there isn't much care while the athlete is active. I agree. Absolutely. Absolutely. Even concussion protocols aren't the way they should be. Concussion protocols. I'm like, when I hear about concussion protocols, right, it just takes me to the PTSD on how a service member can go over there and experience something that they never experienced in their life, and it can have them fucked up for the entire time. So pretty much what you experience, let's just say you're on a year over there in country, and some of your people die, or you face an explosion, anything that was dramatic, right? They still want you to finish out your time. If you lose it and it start affecting you and you become a liability, it's potentially you get sent back to the rear. So when you get back to the rear, you have to face individuals that saying, "Oh, what happened? Oh, what's going on?" And then look, if they find it that you're gonna be a liability, you can get basically discharged from the military, and you're not gonna have no benefits except, okay, you got PTSD, go to the medical and try to see what percentage you can get for PTSD. But really, it's not like they keep you around across the board. I had some military service members that's going back and forth in country like 4 or 5 times. Imagine how their thought process is when they finally got out. Were they even able to do 20 years? They might have been physically able, but when you start fucking up in the military, they just look at it like, no, you should have knew better. But I'm telling you, it's something else going on. I need help. You should have thought about that before you went out here and did what you did. I'm telling you, being over Iraq that many times, for that much time, 5 times a year apiece, seeing carnage, seeing death, seeing my comrades being killed, me facing, you know what I'm saying, dramatic situations. That sticks with you forever. So hey, I'm just telling you, man, like with Aaron, people gonna have their own situation. Mitch say he was a menace. Ghost saying, hey, the dude has CTE results that prove otherwise, that his brain was extremely debilitated from football. And though people look at him like, well, he should have knew better that he was doing wrong about going and killing something. You're right. It's easy for us to sit on the outside and say, man, yeah, he might have been fucked up, but goddamn, he went and committed all those crimes. Why was he doing that shit? There needs to be an effort to educate the fighters on concussions, aftercare after getting KO'd, and stuff like that. I know fighters who get KO'd once a week and are sparring a month later. Truly, I do. I totally understand. People take knockouts as you being weak. I've even spoke on it myself. I'm like, you know what? So and so got the best of so and so in sparring, this, that, and the other. And the way we look at it is like, how old or how young are they? How inexperienced or unexperienced are they? So we start to mesh all these, ingredients together. Like, okay, were they experienced or not? How old were they? Were they old, decrepit, or are they still youthful and growing? Were they past their prime or in their prime? We start putting all these bullet points together like we the ones that's sitting in there taking the punishment. That is just the unkind side of combat sports, man. Just like the unkind side of hearing a family member tell you, don't come here complaining. You signed up for that shit. Nobody told you to go to the military. So if you feel a certain way and your head ain't right, go get help. Nobody told you to go do that shit. Seriously, I've heard this shit, dog. I've heard it. Real talk. You signed up. That's what you signed up for. I even said it myself, like when I was going to therapy for PTSD and shit like that. You signed up for this. And in the military, you sign up for things. You have a duty. You have an obligation. Our obligation is mission accomplishment. If you are considered the weak link, you will be dealt with accordingly. They're not really thinking about how you feel, what happened, what's on your mind, what your thought process is. I still think to this day of a Marine who I was the first one to sign off on his package. I was the first one to sign off on his package, man. For him to go from data to motherfucking infantry. He wanted to get out there with the wild ones. He said, that's who I am. Even though I'm smart enough to be in data, I want to go out here to infantry. And then I get the news several months later that he was pinned down on the roof of a building, taking fire. And he ended up dying. He ended up being killed. But I remember seeing this guy every day come in, talk about this, that, and the other. Very smart kid. Very smart kid. But yeah. You know what I'm saying? I mean, PTSD is, dramatic shit. I mean, try being over in Iraq, right? I know we talking about boxing, but I'm just saying, try being over in Iraq for several months and every freaking day, multiple times, all day long, you hear mortar rounds. Boom, 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 boom. You in chow and the building shake and a rocket just hit the damn Humvee right outside. Or you working and you hear people screaming to my incoming and the shit explode. Danger close. Shook the building and all that shit. You like up under the desk and shit. going on convoys and and shit like that, man. No, man, that shit don't stop. You know what I'm saying? That shit don't ever stop, dog. Um, CTE is a diagnosis made only at autopsy by studying section of the brain. There are some symptoms in early stages of it, but all these YTC doctors saying dudes have CTE is some bullshit. Well, I partially agree with you on Ghost, because I remember a situation where it was an individual that was still living, and they was doing tests on the colors of his brain, and he had this region where that region was grayed out, right? And that was the damaged area. So they basically start um taking him through inverted cryotherapy. It was crazy. I really haven't heard of multiple individuals doing this, but his part of his brain that was gray start to light up again, start showing those colors of functionality. Before, it was showing like it was that part of the brain was non-functional as far as him and his loss of memory and stuff like that. But they did inverted cryotherapy, which I find this just, I don't know how long they kept him in there, but he did multiple sessions, and part of his brain tissue start to present those healthy colors of functionality and operability. And I didn't see it across the board, but it was amazing. I don't know. But they diagnosed him with CTE from a brain scan, and they started taking him through this therapy, which was very, very interesting. You know what I'm saying? But Ghost, y'all dropping some damn good information. King, that was true in 2010, 2014. In 2022, we have ways to diagnose why a person is alive. However, no treatment exists. Well, I just provided one source. Um, Let me see, can I look him up right quick? See if he pops up. And then I'll share screen so y'all can see it. Let me see if he even pops up. Nope. Nope, I can't find it right now. Let me see. Is this the guy? Let me see. No, that's not the one I'm looking for. But yeah, yeah, yeah. I can't find it, but I have to really take some time and go dig a little bit on that individual who was doing inverted cryotherapy. If you know anything about cryotherapy, it takes the temperatures way, way down for quicker muscle recovery. So you're supposed to enter in feet first and stand vertically, posture up in a standing position for a certain period of time. What they did with him was somehow lowered his head down. I don't know how they do it. I don't want to sit up here. He did inverted cryotherapy where his head was at the lowest temperature for a certain period of time. You know what I'm saying? Um, and then he did, like I said, multiple sessions to the point where certain parts of the his brain that was considered gray area was considered seriously damaged from CTE. They started to show signs of life with the colors from the scan. I definitely try to get that information for y'all. It's a newer concept, but nowadays you can get confirmed diagnosis. It's hard to diagnose early, but after stage 2, it's pretty easy to diagnose with modern 3D brain scans and multiple other tests. So being with Ghost just mentioned 3D scan. That might have been it. I'm not sure, but I know it was a scan of his brain, of course, because the colors that came up. I remember seeing the documentary on it, the colors that the doctor was explaining. This is supposed to be this way, this is supposed to be this, and look at this part right here. That is the damaged tissue that he had, this, that, and the other. So it was pretty cool though. It was pretty cool. Appreciate that info, Ghost, for real. As of now, we can only know they actually have CTE once the person is deceased. Irresponsible to blame fighter or athlete doing some dumb shit on CTE. Fighter or athlete doing some dumb shit. Now I'm just saying what I stand by. I stand by on there have been fighters who have had episodes and act out and commit, criminal acts. But I'm not saying they was already diagnosed with CTE, of course. And most of the time, a fighter's not gonna have CTE type of examinations while they're still fighting, because I'm going to assume if it comes back and it's too severe, it's going to end their career. That's if it's taken serious enough for a fighter that has CTE for that promoter or manager to pull them out. Because boxing is boxing, man. Fighters don't fight at 100% now. You know what I'm saying? Fighters don't fight at 100%. There's always something going on, for real. You find a lot of conflicting information on diagnosis. You can't go to just any neurologics for a diagnosis, but you can go to a CTA research center for diagnosis. 14 ex-NFL players have been successfully diagnosed, and there are multiple people who were diagnosed. It's very, very new and not something which is widespread. That's good shit right there. At least they are evolving. You know what I'm saying? At least they are evolving to get help for these individuals. One of my buddies come back from a couple of tours and he was changed, very short-tempered and very aggressive. I ate dinner with one of my a guy that was one of my recruits when I was a drill instructor at one point in time. And he's a different guy. He actually was in a Humvee explosion on a convoy and took some damage from shrapnel and everything, but he's not the same, man. I don't even I saw that dude when he came out, came through boot camp, totally different personality. Now he's damn near, I don't know how many tours he's done already. Yeah, he's not the same either. CTE is most likely rampant in combat sports. I'm sure it affects everyone differently. However, only a small percentage seems to wild out to the level of Hernandez. He was on some vigilante shit. He was, man. And look, Mitch is not the only one that's gonna, play hardball with Hernandez. Real talk. There's a lot of people gonna look at his plotting and planning and scheming and say, what does that have to do with CTE? I got it, but I'm going off the strength of speaking about combat sports and domestic violence issues that we've been having over time. From several fighters. It can be your favorite fighter that have a domestic violence, which you're gonna say, "Oh man, that's fucked up." We saw the situation that happened with Gervonta Davis and his girl. He cameras rolling in front of everybody. He snatched her up. You know what I'm saying? I'm not just bringing up black fighters. I mentioned, I think even Randy Couture had a situation. I mentioned Conor McGregor. I can mention several fighters over that's committed violence on the opposite sex. And, people always want to drum it in to where they came from, what they experienced and all that. Yeah, you need to include boxing too. I know the case you're talking about. Let me try to find it for you. Yeah, I just can't remember the guy's name. I know it's in my favorites somewhere, but I have a lot of favorites. Like if I run across a nice article, I goddamn bookmark that shit. if CTE is a rampant as we think it is, not all these dudes are going batshit nuts. That's why I don't accept it as an excuse. I am empathetic though, highly sensitive subject. They're not going batshit crazy to a point, or to the point where everything is reported when there's an act, from a fighter or whatever. It has to be something that is that's high alert, that they think there's breaking news. So and so commit this act. I know it's hard to sit up here and compare fighters to Aaron Hernandez because his shit was just so front line. Like this shit was all over the freaking place. I mean, the history, the crimes he was accused of, and then how he when he was incarcerated, why he's no longer with us. I mean, his brain was fucked up. Like football is no joke. It's not one time that you can sit up here and get used and acclimated to football without wearing helmet and pads. And though they've tried to change how a player hits, like you have quarterbacks faking, sliding, and all this. I mean, man, back in the day, man, come on now. Them guys was getting slaughtered. Look how Ronnie Lott used to leave his feet and connect with the opponent, man. Lawrence Taylor coming around the motherfucking bend. Please, dog, that shit was brutal. Dondada, what's good? It is true he has been convicted of the same thing before. Y'all can check that link out Mitch just put in there. Good criteria, good content on the subject. Check out that link. Matter of fact, I'm not trying to. Let me see now. Where that link at? Damn. Yeah, there go the link. If anybody's trying to look at it, check out that article. Teach on deck, man. What's going on? What's going on with you, bro? Aaron is extreme, but you have to remember that we have levels of CTE, and not every level is doing the same thing. Like many diseases, there are stages. Aaron was at the end of the stage. I totally agree on stages when it comes to the anatomy of the body. Man, it's too many stages, too many medical conditioning. Bro, man, I speak from experience. It's just too many levels of this shit to diagnose, man. Like, just think of the people who are suffering from debilitated states of anything, and they don't have medical care. So therefore, how are they going to get treatment? All you know is so and so died of this. Now it's COVID, but it's a lot of people who died for cancer and diabetes and everything else, man. You know what I'm saying? When I was in Cali, it used to be my neighbor. My neighbor used to walk in front of the house all the time. Just walk up and down the sidewalk talking to herself. And then sometimes her grandkids would come out, and her kids would come out and take her back in the house, or her husband will come back and take her in the house. And then I remember the time where they was, she was yelling and screaming to my, help me, they're trying to kill me, this, that, and the other. And she had dementia really, really bad. So they ended up having to put her in a type of facility for care. And she ended up dying. You know what I'm saying? But she used to walk in front of the house talking to herself. I can be out there, and she'll just turn and just be rambling on and keep walking and stuff. And then I go ring the doorbell. I'll say, your wife is out here. He said, oh, she is? Why she? So he'd go in there and take her back in the house. And then, the levels of cancer pops, I thought, he had treated his cancer or whatever and took care of it. And then when it came back with a vengeance, and it was over. There was nothing he can do. And, he died in an extreme amount of pain, before finally having like 2 to 3 strokes before passing away. But I totally agree, and people should always understand that medical conditions have levels. That's only right that we, the simplest education, it has levels to shit like this. Medical conditions has levels, bro. Sickness has levels. COVID has levels. Shit has levels, bro. CTE has levels. That's all I can say on it. Medical conditions, the body has levels to anything, just like we have levels to people's salubrity. You know what I'm saying? And how they live a healthy lifestyle. It's levels to that shit. It's levels to when people have a depletion in white blood cells. And when people are diagnosed with blood pressure, low blood pressure, low sugar, diabetes, all this shit. There's levels. People getting limbs amputated from diabetes. I'm like, huh? What? Why? What's the point? Why? How does it? Why do you have limbs amputated for that? And what happened if you don't? And all this other stuff. Levels to lupus. It's just too many diseases out there that we cannot sit up here and act like there's not levels to. I don't mind a link being put in here if it's pertaining to information that's consistent with the topic. I don't have no problem with that shit, dog. Education, is always commendable. Oh, for sure, King, and there's no excuse for that stuff, in my opinion. People around him and him are to blame. The CTE with him made it harder for him to make rational, ethic decisions. Free Hoover on deck, man. I see you. What's good with you, bro? Thanks for pulling up. Along with much more, it impacts all types of things, having difficulty remembering names and phone numbers, and changing the mood and swings, depression, feeling increasing anxious. Along with much more, it impacts all types of things, having difficulty remembering names or phone numbers, changing mood swings, depressions, feeling increasingly anxious, frustrated. Yeah, for sure. Levels to all of what you just mentioned. Depression. Think of the levels of depression. It's levels to that. And then the individuals, I'm not going to mention any names, but, having a relative who has depression, but they tell you, I don't feel like listening to somebody tell me what's going on with me. If they know what's going on with me, why don't I know what's going on with me? You saying you feel depressed, but their method of talking to you is to find a remedy, to determine a remedy to put you in a better place of you know what I'm saying, a better place, mind, body, and soul. How do we get to that place? That's the bigger question. But some people are stubborn. They'll sit there and tell you like they know everything, but they're quickly, put it out there. I'm suffering from depression. Like, but the last 20 times I've asked you, did you want to get some therapy and everything else? And they say no. So now it comes to a point where you keep on talking about your levels of depression, and people are not buying it, nor do they want to hear it anymore. That's all I'm saying, man. Word search, disinhibition, um, irritable inappropriateness. That's the section of behavioral changes due to CTE. Good shit. Good shit, bro. Y'all dropping some knowledge on here, some resources, you know what I'm saying? Which is great. As the study shows, CTE is associated with increased difficulty in impulse control, disinhibition, irritability, inappropriateness, and higher frequency of explosive outbursts of aggression. Explosive outbursts of aggression. Oscar put his fist in. He said that's just plain old sexual deviancy. Oh my God, dog. Stay on task there, Mitch. God damn, dog. Man, I gotta get some water, man. Y'all hold on for a minute. What Mitch, I'll have to ask, like, what did that have to do with the topic at hand? You know, it's been pretty conducive information. It's been put in the live chat. What does Oscar sexual deviancy has to do with the conversation for real, dog? Man, some people, y'all just give Oscar mad airplay for real. But I gotta give a big salute to the information that's been placed in the live chat. Very educational. And you know, if you're willing to learn something, you know, look at the links and just take some of the words and do your own research. Like I said before, I'll admit, like, I read up on some shit as much as I possibly can to the point where I will attempt to maximize my education outside of actually being trained or going through the whole process to become that. And you know what I'm saying? That's everybody's damn attention span and retainability is different. Like we said earlier, there's levels. There's level to freaking learning. You know what I'm saying? There's learning, there's levels to initiative to learn, and there's levels to how much an individual is willing to catalog that information. And then with it being cataloged, there's a process of how much can that individual recall for thought. Can you regurgitate it on recall memory and speak on it as if you know what you're talking about? That's where I'm at with it. That means you have to continue to refresh, speak on it, and to the point where you know what the hell you're talking about. Outside of being a qualified physician or doctor that goes in there and operates on patients and perform these damn tests on these guys and know what the hell they talking about. The boxing plug on deck. What's good? Don't forget about Kovalev's beating a woman and her dog too. Plus, Canelo fought him as well. Absolutely, man. Kovalev had his situation with women, you know, alcoholism, and people, you know, once again, people will overlook the fact of alcoholism being a result of CTE, but it definitely can be a temporary relief. You know what I'm saying? To mask it. Alcoholism can be that point to mask something temporarily. You drink and drink and drink, and you like that state of mind so much because it kind of alters the state of focus from what you're having flashbacks. You know what I'm saying? Neurologically, it's just preventing you from just focusing on those flashbacks that you having, or like those uncontrolled outbursts, being erratic, medication. I really don't want to get into medication because once again, it just goes so far out the boundaries, don't it? Oh. And of course, look, I look at this live as it hit the point. Why? Because individuals are willing to take it serious enough to understand where I was going with it. I just don't want to sit up here and jump on his shoulders and start, trying to stump him into the ground because he fucked up again. I'm just trying to give an overview as content creator on something that happens in boxing, and that is motherfucking punishment to the brain, dog. That is damage to the brain. Now, if you're unable to understand that, I don't know what to tell you. You just don't care about the physical being of the sport. Like, it's human bodies that's competing in here that's getting damaged. The amount of punishment is different for everybody, dog. It's a brutal fucking sport. Combat sports in general is brutal as shit. And the CTE just doesn't come for the fights, competing in the ring. It comes from everything that you do that has contact, training up, leading up to that fight, the fight, and recovery process on the damage that you took in the fight. Everybody's recovery process is not the same clock. Everybody's shit is different. Like I still to this day, man, I wonder who does Miguel Cotto has, CTE from taking all that punishment from Margarito, potentially, who had damn loaded gloves. Just because he was caught in the Sugar Shane fight doesn't mean he didn't have it. Why would he all of a sudden do it for the first time at the Sugar Shane Mosley fight? No, I think it was loaded with Miguel Cotto, and Miguel, being the warrior he is, he didn't want to quit. But I do think it took some time off his life. He got battered in that fight, bro. The second link I provided mentioned Terry Long, former NFL player who committed suicide and whose brain was found to have telltale pattern of tau staining, who had CTE while which caused something. There are multiple cases mentioned in the link, and all have multiple references backing what the conclusion. I appreciate that, bro. Appreciate that. Real talk. Thank you for the damn work. Dropping those motherfucking educational tidbits in there, man. Those educational gems. The connection was Oscar has been punched just as much as what. Just CTE didn't make him put his balled up hand in that chick, man. Damn, dog. Look, once again, Oscar's been known to have, drug use problem and stuff like that. So I cannot say that he's excluded from having CTE. You know what I'm saying? Oscar's did some crazy weird things. Like, once again, there's levels, man, to everything that deals with the internal functionality of the human body. It's just levels to everything. But the fucked up part about it, that God did not bless us with the ability to assess someone just by looking at them, unless they are acting out. So if somebody give you a nonverbal cue and they stick the middle finger up, that gesture is considered what? Obscene, right? Disrespectful. Somebody flipping you off is a nonverbal cue, right? But if somebody just standing there with their hands down, they're just looking at you and you're staring at them, there's no way you can understand what's going on. You just say, okay, what you staring at me for? What's going on? Well, if they acting all out of control and start shaking and yelling and screaming, you say something's wrong with that person. We wasn't blessed with just the eye test and giving diagnosis. If that was the case, man, you imagine how the medical field would be? when you had individuals, let's just say you had an individual who is considered a savant, an individual who is very, very knowledgeable and genius in one area, but maybe dumb in the others. Imagine if there's ability for somebody who's diagnosed or considered a savant who can look at somebody and diagnose what they have. That'd be incredible, dog. That'd be incredible. That should be incredible. I'm not gonna lie. The thing with CTE is everyone cannot use it as a cop out for their bad action. It's very complicated, and some people are just bad. It's an area which needs more research on and focus for treatment. I absolutely 100% agree with that. My point for bringing it up in this situation, I'm just speaking from a boxing standpoint that boxers go through situations. And sometimes those situations play out in the media when it comes to domestic violence. That's all I was saying about Jermall Charlo. I wasn't sitting up here eliminating him or saying that you know what I'm saying, separating him from any culpability. No, that's not what I was doing. I was just speaking on the situation because I don't know all the fine details enough to speak on it. I know he was arrested and he was taken in and his bond was 10,000. I know all that. But even when they gave the person's name that supposedly was assaulted, they didn't even name him. I'm pretty sure if I look hard enough, somebody makes him fall. Okay, do you know anything about this? I always go to the news of where he's at. I always try to search the news networks that's in the area of where that person resides and see what they're talking about. Sometimes you have individuals that have more insight to the situation and they can post it. You know? The things with CTE is everyone cannot use it. I agree with that. Little Johnny Vita Local Tapia, rest in peace. Yeah. Johnny Tapia was a different type of dude, wasn't he? Johnny Tapia was cut from a different type of fabric. Like we say before, who am I to go up here and assess everybody that fucked up in boxing? Truly fucked up. It was because of CTE. Some people was just absolutely crazy. And the reason why that is so true is because if you look at boxing, it has no prerequisites for a fighter to pass. It has no type of correspondence course that a fighter can take prior to entering the sport of boxing. They have individuals that it's not like you're saying, well, if you have a felony, you cannot compete. If you had a misdemeanor within this time frame, you have to wait to 24 months after. If you've been convicted, no, it has fighters in there from all walks of life competing in a brutal sport. And sometimes what they did to get them locked up back in the day plays itself out in reality. But at this time, that particular fighter has grown in notoriety in a professional sport for which they had the opportunity to make a damn good living in. So now that they're making a better living than they did prior to entering the sport, when they was a criminal, and now people look at them different, and all of a sudden, boom, deja vu once again. They commit a heinous act, and they've charged, and they say, "Oh, guess what we pulled up? So and so had been convicted this, and this back in the day." And they're like, "What? We did not know that." So that is what you get from boxing, man. It has no prerequisites. There's no welcome aboard package for boxing. I've seen this shit. Boxing allows individuals to stand up and take themselves. I would say stand up, put the controller down, because a lot of cats that I've seen on the lower levels get professional license. It's not a separation. It's not like, okay, these are the professional fighters that's going to be journeymen, and these are the professional fighters that's actually going to make a career out of this. We should take them serious. No, these fighters go in here and make a debut. They have no intentions of furthering the sport. They get knocked the fuck out, get their check, and go back. And then, according to how long they suspended, what state you in, you'll see them again. I say, and look, I was getting to the point. I say, hey, dog, you back? Oh, so you want to come back for more? Okay. Boom, you see him get knocked out again. And then you see them up the line, according to what fight you at, you see them on somebody else's fight card. This person is 0-2. Both knockouts. You'll see them on somebody else's card, man. Boom. They might go the distance with a soft touch because they learn a little bit more about the sport, but the opponent they fighting is ragu. So now they 1-2. 1-2 looks better than 0-3, right? So they 1-2. They sign them up for another one. This person has no intention of thriving in the sport. All they're doing is just making a paycheck. Long as that shit is going and cultivating on the lower tier, and fighters are fighting these fighters for debuts, and the medical clearance. Look, the medical requirements are very simple, and also the physical examination, as far as the little what the doctor gives you. Man, come on, you trying to tell me somebody can't fake that shit? I actually seen them duck walking. I was at a fight one time where the fighters had to duck walk to the left and come back to the doctor. They had to put their hand on their head, squat down, duck walk, boom, 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 turn around, duck walk again. That was their physical shit. It wasn't really put no hand over the head and see if your shoulder fucked up. None of that, bro. That one was more so replying to King. That was more, okay. Arturo Gatti was off the rails after boxing. Well, Arturo Gatti is another example when I can make an insinuation of what was going on. This is not something that's a diagnosis per se, but I'm saying that Arturo Gatti was one of those fighters who we know that had extreme fights where he took punishment. Oh my God, dog. Can you only imagine what it was? You know what I'm saying? Can you only imagine? Not just with Mickey Ward, but Floyd Mayweather fucked him up too. Goddamn, Arturo Gatti was that dude. I like Gotti up to a certain point. He was absolutely tough as shit. Too tough for his own good, so to speak. But imagine what damage he had on the inside, where the shit he was going through at home. I don't know. Like, goddamn. I just don't believe in selective CTE. All the studies on CTE directly contradicts that theory of selectiveness. Well, a lot of what we assume is selective. You know what I'm saying? You're selecting a portion. Once again, it all deals with the depth of knowledge of the person that's insinuating or selecting to talk about somebody and attaching them to a topic. So in this case, CTE being a topic, the only thing I can attach it to is the rigors of the sport that may have attributed to it, right? So once again, outside of my range of qualification as a professional, only thing I can say is, well, in this particular case, they might have had CTE because they was competing in this sport. I'm not saying they did, because there's no way for me to know what their brain looked like. It's not like they calling me up. Hey, man, we have another brain for you to look at, okay? I want you to get that content created. Come down here, check it out. No pictures. But you can just check out what I'm talking. No, they ain't doing that shit. So when you talk about selectiveness, yeah, that happens in life all the time. You're selecting a thought process. You the selecting how far you want to dive in doing research if you're not educated on the subject matter. You know what I'm saying? That shit can go forever and a day, Mitch. Bro, I totally get where you coming from with this shit. Real talk. But I'm once again, I'm just giving you my thought process on, as human beings, as we process shit every day and choose to speak on some, it's a selective process. It's a selective process for real. If we're not educated on it, we choose to what? Find more information on it. Then with more information, we do what? We start coming up with insinuations. We start adding variables together. We start implementing deductive reasoning. We start formulating something to come to a conclusion that fits what we're trying to express. Shouts to Young Jeezy, Corporate Thuggin' Entertainment. You think Felix Verdejo has some signs? It's no way that I'll go to that aspect. I mean, and defer from what I've been talking about. Yeah, I think he has something going on with him. But listen, it gets a little cloudy with speaking about Felix Verdejo because he got a girl pregnant. Now I have to bring into the correlation with Mitch, what he said early. He said we just can't sit up here and use it as a cop-out because that dude planned. He planned that shit to kill his girl that was pregnant with kill his mistress that was pregnant with his kid. Now, that goes along the lines of Aaron Hernandez. Aaron Hernandez and Felix Verdejo, two different sports, but the brutality of their actions, can it be for CT? I don't fucking know. But I know if somebody's gonna damn inject your girl with your baby with some type of substance while physically, beating them to the point where they was potentially knocked out, putting cement shoes on them, dumping them in the water, and firing a weapon to make sure they're dead. Well, she died, but she didn't stay submerged in the depths so she could not be found. That shit's crazy. I don't know, bro. I know Felix Verdejo, man. It looked like he didn't take extreme amount of punishment across the board that he took with Nakatani. I mean, that was a damn tough fight, but I don't know, dog. Only thing I can do is just give you what I gave you. I don't know. We'll be talking about we'll be talking about fighter comparisons forever and a day, But I appreciate the insert though, from Hoover with Felix Verdejo, because we are talking about Jermall Charlo. We are talking about, what he's been accused of, the warrant. And is this a reoccurrence? Yes, this is a reoccurrence. Absolutely. So instead of me diving in and basically denigrating the man, I'm just trying to come up with an educational topic on what he could possibly suffering from. You know what I'm saying? He could be potentially suffering from something. And then we get into the wickets and we have Ghost, Mitch, Hoover, all these people dropping information. We all coming from the same place. We going as deep as our resources. Like I'm not on the keyboard right now. I know there's certain people that have keyboard accessibility and they're able to go find these links and everything and drop it in the chat. So it allows the individuals that's hitting the replay to source those links and check them out. Blood and Guts Warrior. Felix Verdejo is a fucking idiot. He's more than an idiot, dog. I mean, from what he did. I mean, he knew that female since they was kids. But, it's no way that she was going to be walking around Puerto Rico with his baby and he's married. His family was trying to tell her, get rid of the baby, get rid of it. She said no. And we don't know what her mindset was, if she wanted to keep it, believing that she was going to be close to Felix, or she just felt within her morals, so to speak, if you could say that with a mistress. If you could say that with a mistress, her morals, not the killer child, pro-choice, she might have felt that. And he was like, no, you got to get rid of it. No, pro-choice. Killed her and the baby. The baby wasn't born yet, of course. We also have Mickey Ward. Mickey Ward was diagnosed, I believe. Mickey Ward, he's been talking just fine. Really, Emmanuel Augustus is in the worst way, in my opinion. I know he was shot at that point, but he's in a bad place. Like he's really bad. But Mickey Ward, I saw an interview with Mickey Ward, and his conversation was pretty clear. I was surprised. Like, that's why I say people's freaking physical structure is different. People are all wired different. Mickey, is much punishment that he took, I can understand every word he was talking about. He didn't have that slurred speech. He didn't sound like Riddick Bowe. None of that shit, dog. And I tell people all the time, look how many losses that Riddick Bowe has. But look how listen to how he sounds, and look and see, it does the way he sounds, does it match up with the amount of losses that he have on his record? You would think the amount of losses, he might have took punishment during their losses and all that. But check out his win-lose record. And then you have to ask yourself, why can he barely talk? Was it because he was in the heavyweight division, or is it because the way his body is wired? When you get the slurred speech. Dion Washington on deck. First of all, I'm not sure who he's addressing, your boy, but no, I know it ain't talking. I know you can't be putting Ryan Garcia off on me. I did not ask for that. I didn't sign no adoption papers. I'm not going up here having no play son. If he left Reynoso, kudos to him for believing he needs to change, and he's going to Joe Goosen. You know what I'm saying? Kudos to Ryan. I still feel the way I feel in him being the biggest capper in boxing. You know what I'm saying? That's all I can say about that. Bob on deck. What's good? He said, imagine Gotti punching you with his bare hands. I was in Brazil when he went nuts fucking people up. Damn. He was like that? Gotti was fucking people up like that in Brazil? Damn. Because they have some fighters over that month. Brazil has some fighters. Real talk. I was just down in the American Top Team, man. And I don't know if y'all know June Cow, man, but June Cow he's a IBJJF champion. I think back in 2014, I believe. And plus he's fought in mixed martial arts and all that. But the story of these Brazilian fighters is incredible, but I have to stay on topic. Man, that's crazy, dog. Gotti wasn't no punk, though, for real. Mickey Ward was in tough fights all throughout his career, and he has had so many issues post-boxing. He is getting some experimental treatments. Sad case. Okay, cool. Appreciate the info on Mickey Ward. So there you go. Mickey Ward is been having issues post-fight career. That's great to know that he's getting treatment. You know what I'm saying? Whether the treatment works or not, we'll see down the road. We're talking about the brain. We're talking about the brain, dog. That shit's expensive. Oscar said Gotti's punches felt like he had rocks in his glove. Damn. Gotti was sitting down like that. Of course, it's going to be somebody say, were you there? You got to always remember this, YouTube. Hernandez was influenced by them street goons on top of his CTE. I owned a condo in Brazil where Gotti was vacationing. I heard he fucked up some people in Brazil before his death. Maybe he had CTE. That's the whole point, man. It's just, for me, it's just an opportunity to kind of bring light to a situation of reoccurring, the omnipresence of domestic violence in boxing. The omnipresence is something that is serious. You know what I'm saying? Where you have something that's reoccurring all the time and it's happening in boxing, and not all the names that go through these situations are mentioned. Not every boxer is considered a priority when it comes to news outlets to speak on. Let's just look at it this way. When you hear these announcements where former da da da, former this, former that, or current boxer this, and then you're like, who is he? What did he box? I don't even know that guy. And people just keep it moving. But it happens more than you think. You know what I'm saying? With these individuals getting locked up all the time. It's just the popular fighters, the more familiar fighters to the audience. It's the one that gets traction. You feel me? Those are the ones that get traction. The ones that everybody can relate to. And like Gervonta Davis, he had this situation, and Floyd and everybody else, okay? Conor McGregor, all these people had domestic situations. So much goes into starts from sparring, nutrition, and genetics, and gets deeper. You know what goes solid point when we talk about Riddick Bowe. I think Riddick Bowe, when it comes to genetics, we can say he was a damn good fighter, but I don't know the terminology used when his athletics, combined with his genetics, he was able to excel in boxing. But if you look at the amount of loss, the loss column, it doesn't add up as to why this man is the way he is. Like, you can say, oh, well, it was because of the battles that he had. Well, goddamn it, Andrew Galata kept hitting him in the nuts. I mean, what happened? Do we have CT in the balls? You can barely understand. Like, man, I know a fighter down here, man. I can barely understand the word he's saying, and he was in there with the best of them, but he looks and walks around perfectly fine, but you can't understand nothing he's saying. And when I started interviewing fighters, I had to get used to that because it was distracting. I didn't know how to. Should I ask him again what he said, because I didn't get it. That's a bad way, bro. I ain't gonna lie. Because they need to find a way to fix that shit. The fighters that has that slurred speech, I mean, they need to find a way to fix that, because that's getting more and more with fighters across the board. Jessica's on deck. What's good with you? He said, who would want to get hit by a boxer with no gloves? I mean, they have bare knuckle fighting. So it's boxers that go over there to bare knuckle and get hit with no gloves. So the one thing about getting hit with no gloves, the glove is to protect the hand. All right. So with no gloves, it doesn't necessarily saying you're gonna be able to punish a elite or a professional fighter the way you would with gloves on, because you have to really pay attention to how the placement of your punch, where it's gonna be, rather, how you gonna execute that punch, else you're gonna break your motherfucking hand. So it's definitely more of a strategic process when you are fighting bare knuckle, and you're talking about no hand wraps, no gloves. You really have to scrutinize how you're going to play that out, because in bare knuckles, I've seen dudes duck their head and their opponent cracks them on the top of the head and shakes their hand out, and they don't fuck their hand up. They done broke knuckles. Sweet signs, huh? Oh, my bad. I was being sarcastic with Ryan. Dog, anybody but Ryan, dog. Anybody but Ryan. Now, I'll take that back, because anybody but Ryan. Gotti went Hulk on them Brazil streets because his girl pissed him off that night. I wonder, was he intoxicated? I don't know. It's just shit I don't know about what happened to Gotti, but damn. I mean, look at Overeem and compare him to Riddick. Even if Riddick was doing 15 rounds 3 times a week, I don't think it equals to the damage Overeem has taken in his career. Now, once again, Ghost, I'm not just agreeing with everything you're saying. I'm not just agreeing, for real. But you're making some very solid points on both boxing and MMA. Overeem has taken extreme amount of physical damage over his career in kickboxing and mixed martial arts. When I tell you, I told people before when I seen this man when he was on horse meat and juice, and let's say Tropicana, okay, that dude was huge. When he used to walk to the motherfucking ring, dude, he used to have some brutal fights. K1 kickboxing was absolutely incredible. And then for him to come over to the UFC and be on the bad end of knockouts from Francis Ngannou and so many other people, he's definitely taking more punishment than Riddick Bowe. But goddamn it, Overeem is still talking like he's nowhere close to Riddick Bowe. You know, he's not even slurring his speech or nothing. He still talks just fine. So it has to be some type of combination of genetics. It's tough to figure it out because some fighters who is taking less punishment, they still have slurred speech somehow. I'm not gonna mention his name, but it's a fighter that's on the regional level that's been in, I think, like 15 fights, and he's taking some motherfucking beatings. This guy's gonna be absolutely no good for his kids because he just keeps showing back up for a paycheck and speeches and slurred and stuff like. I have his interview on the hard drive and I didn't even post it, bro, because I felt so bad for this dude. Like, he was getting his ass. I done seen him so many times get his ass beat, and how at your age, he's not that old either. At your age, you have slurred speech already. So I also look at it this way, Ghost. I look at the way Timothy Bradley had his fight with Provodnikov, right? And he said he had slurred speech weeks after that fight. But now, him being in a commentator position, it seems like he's good to go. I wonder if you take time away from the physicality that's causing you to have slurred speech. Is there any way that you can prevent it from happening? Because we all saw the fight between Bradley and Provodnikov. It was freaking vicious. You talking about no head movement? Like, what the fuck? Like this, I don't know what the hell Timothy was thinking, but that was such a brutal fucking fight. And I would be remiss to say, well, I think Timothy Bradley still has damage from that fight. That shit was brutal. But he seems to not have any slurred speech right now. I mean, not one iota. But I agree with you on that Overeem situation. Overeem was taking kicks to the head. He had 2+ decade career in combat sports at high level, fought some of the hardest hitters, and his speech is nothing like Riddick. Absolutely, I agree. I mean, you know, isn't he from the Netherlands or something like that? But it has to be genetics, man. Hard to understand with James Toney. I know somebody was going to bring up James Toney being said, and he was a good defensive fighter. James Toney was a good defensive fighter, but also he was hit too. You know what I'm saying? So check the box on that. But he also took punishment also. Once again, that's more so genetics. Seriously, that's more so genetics, man. Roy Jones, look how many fights that he started, being in where he was taking punishment. He doesn't stutter at all. He still has his wits about him. He still has good recall memory. He's still sharp. You know what I'm saying? Witty. He'll give you some, Old Roy Jones Jr. Flash. Man, I seen his handwork up close, right? With an old coach of his. And I was like, damn, Roy can still fuck somebody up, dog. He can still fuck somebody up. I haven't even never posted that. I think I'm gonna post it at the right time, though. I think I'm gonna post it at the right time. He was up there, his coach was the first to land the punch, and then Royce, shit, Hook City. They was going straight to the body. I say Roy can still fuck somebody up, real talk. Tyson Fury will fuck dudes up, bare knuckle. I'm surprised he ain't went over there yet. And I think the reason is because Tyson Fury, for one, is not that he weighs too much. It's just, can they pay him what he's worth? I don't think David Feldman has the money and the budget to finance somebody like Tyson Fury. James Kirkland from my hometown, freaking sad. Well, Louise, if he's from your hometown, that's another person that was having slurred speech. I mean, I feel bad for James Kirkland. I really wanted to see the revival of him and Ann Wolf and see him possibly make it to title contention. Like the way I was cheering for James Kirkland when he fought Angulo, I was like, wow, dude. He's getting there. He's getting there. But that Canelo collision, ooh, that was just too brutal. Genetics for sure got something to do with Overeem. Yeah, he's Dutch. Yeah, half Dutch, I believe. We also got Mirko Krokov, who took a lot of punches. Mirko took a lot of punches and kicks, but I don't know, man. I don't know. They put Sylvester Stallone in the Boxing Hall of Fame, but he looked like, he sounded like he was a motherfucking boxer. I don't know what's going on with that. Like Sylvester Stallone makes you believe that he was actually taking punches in all those Rocky series. I don't fucking know, dog. Who else has a serious slur problem in boxing? I thought at one time Fernando Vargas. He does. You can hear it periodically. I remember when I walked past Fernando Vargas, man. I was at the MGM Grand. And he tried to act like he didn't hear me. I was like, damn, I couldn't believe he was that small. I said, Fernando, he tried to act like he didn't hear me, dog. I saw, it's all good, dog. It's all good. I'm not going to chase after you. But he has a little bit of slurred speech too, man. It's genetics outside of my scope. I was talking to Ernesto Hoos. Shout out to Ernesto Hoos, man. Legendary kickboxer. Legendary. Early this week, and he has some slur now where Mirko, he speaks relatively clear in comparison. Damn, shout out to Ernesto Hoos. Dude was a bad one. Yeah, Junior Jones. I don't know if it's like, who can tell me a fighter other than Black that has seriously slurred speech? Who? I didn't see Tommy Morrison. I didn't think he did. Who can I say? I mean, how can we put? Because a lot of fighters we named was Black fighters. Is there any other fighters other than Black that has slurred speech like that? Who? See, Jerry McClellan is one that the situation he had, but see, I don't think to be honest with you, I don't think Jerry McClellan had like. I'm gonna assume that it was the brutality of the fight that he was in that caused that. I mean, you can get damaged. It's just like they said Masayoshi Nakatani had a head injury, but somehow he came back and fought Felix Verdejo. took 2 knockdowns in that fight, and then won, and then got blasted by Lomachenko. But I don't know if CTE is something that you can get right there in a fight as far as the level of punishment you receiving, and you diagnose, or you have some type of inflammation of CTE right there on the spot. I don't know how that shit works, dog. I don't know. Yeah, Evander, look, the last time I talked to Evander, it was in Alabama, and I can hear every word clearly that he was talking about. Now, of course, I don't know, it was just for the occasion. He might have been on what they call that. I don't know if he was taking brain food or stuff to basically ignite your receptors, so you can speak a little sharper. I don't know if he was on that or not, because a lot of people that's on ESPN and in front of the camera a lot, they take those. You know what I'm saying? With the conversation, they take them. But when I spoke to Vander, when he was up there with Ernie Shavers and all those, he sounded very, very clear, man. Very clear. Jerry Corey was one of the worst ones I've ever seen. Seen a documentary on him, and dog, that was sad to see. That was heartbreaking. Y'all have to agree with that. That's a whole nother live. Real talk. Last couple of fights, Gerald was blinking. Yeah, man. That situation right there. Jesus Christ. That was a good fight too. Freddie Roach has Parkinson's. Bam Bam Rios. Now, okay, good one. There you go. Great example. Bam Bam Rios. He has slurred speech. Real talk. Like, he didn't get that shit from just getting knocked out by Danny Garcia. He has slurred speech from taking punishment and being one of those Mexican style fighters. No. That shit was accumulation, and he's gonna be in a bad place. He's gonna be one of those tough, respected fighters. But guess what? He has slurred speech right now, and it's only gonna get worse. He has very much slurred speech. Like, I can give you plenty of fighters like Nate Diaz in UFC. His speech is bad. Him and his brother Nick, it's bad slurred speech, dog. He can still fight a little bit or whatever, but hey. Yeah, Magic Taylor's situation was real bad. I mean, yeah, that was really bad. I just wonder what was his direction if he would have won that fight. What would have happened? Like, would he forever been on top of the world, or he still would have, descended into the damn darkness? Because he had a couple of fights after that, or whatever the case, but it was never the same after that loss. Of course, never the same. Jason Lewis, I talked to Mosey and he sounds punchy, not good. Yeah, that's another. That's a brother though. I was trying to find out some fighters who was like Brandon Rios. He has that slur speech going on. But here we go. Like Sugar Shane Mosley, James Toney, Evander Holyfield just a little bit. Riddick Bowe. I don't know. Does black fighters get this mostly with slur speech? I'm not sure about Ray Mercer. I'm not sure. I know Mike Tyson. The amount of punishment he took, he seems to be well. He seems to be able to talk just fine. Even though he's saying some shit, I ain't trying to be in the same room with Mike unless I got my shit on me. I mean, fuck all that. But I don't know if is this a black fighter ailment or what? Because it seems like a lot of black fighters have this. I just can't remember all of them that I ran into that had slurred speech. I'm like, what? I didn't know you had this condition. I never understood how Measure Taylor was licensed in the later half of his career. He was slurring heavy. Man, it's boxing, bro. They need the name. They need the name. They don't care about all that. You're not talking during the fight. You're boxing. They don't care about none of that slurring. Yep, there go another one Hoover mentioned. Devin Alexander. Absolutely. He's another one that has slurred speech. And also, he has a little bit more because when you see him when you see him in front of the camera for the interviews, you know, he like blinks his eyes like he's sleeping. Devin, oh my God, man, he's a good dude too. But he has crazy amount of whatever's going on with him. Like he seems like he's sleepy. He talks like he's sleepy. That's not good. Like when you're fully awake and competent but when you speak, you know, you're like blinking your eyes like, oh man, you know, like you tired, you exhausted. That's bad for them, Devin Alexander. That's really, really bad for real. See, people out here naming like 3 black fighters, the one non-black fighter, you know? As a black man myself, I keep up with black fighters much more often than anyone else. So maybe I can't name many because of that. Okay. Antonio Margarito Punchy. Welcome back. It may also have something to do with the path fighters take. Black fighters have, on an average fight, much harder path than non-black fighters. Okay, so I look at it like if black fighters take a more difficult path, why aren't the numbers? Well, we don't really know the numbers. We just are understanding what we're looking at, what we're listening to as their career go on. So it's not a point where we're looking at these black fighters when they in they young, the early stage of their career. We're more so finding this out near the end or in or post fight career retirement. You know what I'm saying? Like that's when you hear it the most. So I don't know what the percentage is. They should really pay attention to that. I don't think they give a fuck about seeing who's slurring and who's not. But I'm mostly seeing it when I'm seeing the older fighters around, and sometimes they do these celebrity appearances. That's the time I have a chance to, link up with them and talk to them. Another person though, Bone Crusher Smith. Bone Crusher Smith seems clear as a motherfucker, dog. It's clear as I don't know what, man. He's sitting up there telling his story. He was happy like a kid with a donut. He was up there telling his story, man. He was just so happy go lucky. I said, this is the same dude that went the distance in the championship fight. Shit. You know? Larry Holmes, I think, right? Larry Holmes, I think Sugar Ray's a little bit like that. I think Hitman Hearns. You know, a lot of brothers, man. A lot of brothers are speaking like that. Here we go. Talking about Devin was an addict. Okay, check this out. What do you consider an addict? Because someone was, and I know what he's gonna say. Well, they say he was addicted to pain killers. You know what I'm saying? So you know what? I'm gonna leave that alone because if someone is addicted to something, they call them an addict. So an addict is much more harsh in a way. To say, okay, he was addicted to painkillers because he was a boxer. He wasn't really an addict. But yeah, he kind of was. So I really can't go against the grain on that shit. You know, I understand what you're talking about. I understand what you're getting at. Angel Manfredi, yeah, Ghost. I remember talking to Angel. Man, I still got Angel's number. Damn, I feel feel so bad. I used to talk to Angel Manfredi so much, but sometimes he didn't. He wasn't in a good place, so I didn't want to stay on the phone with him. But damn, shout out to Angel Manfredi, dog. Good guy, man. He used to just be so happy when he was talking, the best that he possibly can. But yes, he's got heavy slurred, dog. Heavy slurred speech. And when I did, that's when I was on Facebook. I did a Facebook Live with Angel Manfredi. And you even had people in the chat like, they couldn't understand what he was talking about and stuff like that. I say, damn, please don't look at the chat. Please don't look at the comments, rather, the comments. I said, damn, man, because Angel's a good dude, too. Shout out to Angel, man. Hope everything is good with you. A lot of names we are saying are fighters who fought in the mid to late 30s and had tough career paths. Yeah, but most of them are black fighters who have slurred speech, though. Like we would pop out the Tour Gottis and we'll say, Mickey Ward or every now and then we'll bring out. But we're talking about 3 to 4 black fighters, and then every now and then we'll bring out somebody, Brandon Rios, something like that, Angel Manfredi. That's something that's curious to me. I have to look into that more. Like I really have to look back on what I've heard for myself. There's a lot of black fighters that have that. Gary and Scott Pemberton both have heavy slur. You're absolutely right. Yeah, shout out to Pemberton. Damn, some of these names is popping up. I was like, shit. Shout out to Pemberton. Yeah, man. Shout out to the Pembertons, man. Welcome back. YouTube some Felix Savone interviews. I have spoken to him many times, and nothing he says make any sense. He slurs heavy. Wow. Felix Savone. I would do that. Absolutely. Met Roger Mayweather back in 2005. He had mismatched shoes on, talking with a slur. Damn. Yeah, I heard about Roger Mayweather. They had to put him on the allowance because he was just giving his money, spending and giving to people and stuff. Floyd had to put him on the allowance. That's just the undertaking of boxing can be brutal and very, very dark. His sins make 0 sense. Slurs, super heavy, and eyes look sleepy most of the time. Yep. I wonder if Hopkins will have slur speech. Look, listen, I could tell you somebody who don't have slur speech right now. That's Bernard Hopkins. Bernard Hopkins shit is super duper clear, dog. Sharp. I'm not just focused on the clarity. I'm talking about like when you ask a question, how quick they return. Like some of these boxers, they have to close their eyes to think. Let me see. Man, that's bad. But no, Bernard right now, he's good. With Felix Savone, I remember being around him in 2011 and noticed that over time, it's just worse and worse. He's in jail now, but has serious issues. Damn, that's unfortunate, man. Teofilo Stevenson was another one. Teofilo Stevenson was another one. I met him 1 year before his death, and he did not know what year it was. Wow, the underworld of boxing. Bernard Hopkins talk you to sleep. He can, man, but a lot of shit he says is very educational. You know what I'm saying? A lot of shit Bernard talks about is very educational, y'all. Seriously. Tiffany mine was stuck in 1990s. He didn't know it was 2000. He would tell you it was Monday of a certain date in 1999. That's all. Wow. That's bad. That's deteriorated, huh? That's really deteriorated. But my people, I've been on like 2.5 hours, shawty. Man, y'all must understand what I've been talking about. Like, This has been very, productive live for me, talking about something that we always educating ourselves. And shout out to the ones who was dropping all this info. Shout out to you, Ghost, man. However deep you in the sport of boxing, appreciate the info that you gave here. Real talk, like that shit was cool. And everybody else that was inserting info and criteria into to the damn live chat. Appreciate the content. Real talk. Thank you. I mean, that helped the live go by real quick because I got some education off this shit. It's one of those situations where once again I have to, out the door. I was not giving a pass to Jermall Charlo. All I was doing was trying to basically speak on something such as this so we all can engage and act like CTE exists. CTE exists. We have all these boxers up here doing crazy stuff, getting in trouble, going to jail, and people just saying, "Oh, they fucked up, this, that, and the other." It's a lot more than that. It's a lot more than that. Real talk. At the end of the day, it's a lot more than this. Peter Manfredo from Contender last week, and King Talk wants to make comeback. What? He wants a comeback, dog? Oh shit. No way, man. I mean, exhibition bout? Damn. Go look for IBFP versus Southpaw here on YouTube. Y'all won't regret it. Here we go. Somebody dropping a plug. But hey, man, y'all know what it is, man. Y'all be sure to check out Showtime Sauce News. I appreciate everyone for pulling up to World Combat Sports Media. And we'll definitely be on here again. I don't have a set time when I'm going back on here. It's going on 1:00. But it's Super Bowl weekend. So that's gonna be extreme priority. I don't know who's supporting who. You know what I'm saying? But my team ain't there. I can tell you that. I can tell you where the Falcons jerseys are at. Them motherfuckers are folded, nice and neat, wherever they may be. That's it, because we out again. You know what I'm saying? We out again. But I can tell you what them Braves did. They busy celebrating them rings. They won a championship. So we at least got that. Atlanta Braves won the World Series. Absolutely. We good. But man, goddamn it, y'all did y'all thing tonight, man. You know what I'm saying? Thanks for them dropping that input, especially you Ghost, man. Shit, you know a lot of shit about the history of this. But everybody else, the same thing, man. Good collaboration and participation rather. And until next time, man, y'all turn up and tune in to World Combat Sports. I am out.